Welcome to New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. This video is a galactic astrology reading of the Scorpio full moon at 22 degrees 13 minutes on May 12th, 2025. Welcome. What I do in these videos, I put an outer layer of fixed stars, celestial bodies, and galactic points to the traditional Western tropical astrology wheel. And that is to help us connect with a bigger multidimensional picture of the energies that are available now, but also to inspire a bigger view of ourselves as a multidimensional being. And I hope you get inspired to find out your own galactic alignments. If you're curious about your own galactic alignments, download my Galactic Alignments reference guide. There's a link in the pinned comment and in the description box below. What you'll receive in this video are 3 galactic energetic themes that I've pulled out from the full moon chart. And at the end, I'll also give you 3 questions should you want to integrate the full moon energy some more. The full moon in Scorpio at 22 degrees of Scorpio is opposite the fixed star Capulus in the Perseus constellation at 22 degrees of Taurus. And Pluto is the ruler of this full moon, and Pluto is now at 3 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Aquila-Altair at 2 degrees of Aquarius. This full moon in Scorpio is a point in time where we are welcoming in the future. And I've called this video a massive DNA upgrade because that's really what it is. At the physical level in our body, we are experiencing an expansion. Basically, we are ready to say yes to the future. And what we're moving into is a new relationship with fear. This DNA upgrade is very much available to those who are willing at the soul level to handle fear in a different way. As we know, Jupiter is doing heavy lifting in the sign of Gemini, working with the Orion constellation actively now until June 9th, when Jupiter moves into Cancer. So between now and June 9th, Jupiter is supporting us to work with and transmute soul memories associated with the Orion constellation that many of us are carrying and working on at the soul level to transmute to a higher frequency. And this DNA upgrade is very much associated with our relationship with fear that is now about to up-level. We are invited to have a new relationship with the energy of fear. We are invited into our inner room and observe it, but not engage in it. It's almost like the ask is to turn fear into a friend, because the transmutation of the energy of fear is part of our human evolution. What this means is that when we are evolving our relationship with fear, we're also enabled to let go of the past. And letting go of the past is a prerequisite to be able to welcome the new future in. This Scorpio full moon is a marker, a line in the sand that we are now welcome to invite future in. A future that is based in something very different than the past. It's not based in duality. It's based in oneness. And what that means is that we are invited to let go of the past, let go of the energy of duality, and step further into the energy of oneness. And particularly the period between now, May 12th, and June 9th, is a very active transmutation period for many of us to reshape our relationship to fear to something of a higher vibration. One example may be that we are now realizing to a greater degree that we are not separate from each other. And that often comes from within, from our purest, most innocent part of ourselves, our soul essence. And realizing also that we are already empowered to connect with this oneness energy. And with that, we can also allow past burdens to clear out. So this Scorpio full moon is asking us again to look at our patterns and make a choice at the soul level if we want to step into this new future of oneness, the vibration of oneness, or if we are going another round with the duality energy. This Scorpio full moon comes with some risk taking because the very comfortable energy that we are associating ourselves with many times and with past experiences is a difference from the moving forward energy, the future energy that is dynamic, that is creative and evolutionary. And it may feel uncomfortable to step into something completely different. So the question becomes, am I continuing to learn from the patterns that I am aware of that may feel comfortable because they're associated with the past? Or am I ready to step into the impact of that lesson learned and move into the next evolutionary future? So the energy associated with Perseus-Capulus here in opposition with the full moon is essential as we go through this process of this upgrade, this DNA upgrade that we are offered. And we'll talk much more about this in Energetic Theme 3 coming up. And you may ask, what is a DNA upgrade? DNA upgrade is an evolutionary leap that we are invited to partake in. And this is also a choice at the soul level where our own soul is either ready or not ready to make an evolutionary leap. A DNA upgrade is very much associated with the body and our DNA and our cells. And simply, it enables us to hold a higher frequency. Before we go into the full moon chart, I'd like to share what the energetic themes are. The first theme is a risky commitment. And here we're going to talk about Perseus-Capulus some more. There are a number of aspects to the full moon in addition to Perseus-Capulus. We also have Beta-Centauri Hadar that is central to this full moon, and also the asteroid Juno. The second theme is purification of Atlantis soul memories. And here we're going to talk about the Orion Nebula, M42, and also asteroid Hygeia and the role of Hygeia at this full moon. And of course, also asteroid Atlantis. The third theme I've called a massive DNA upgrade. And here we're going to talk about the Shapley Attractor, Aquila-Altair, also dwarf planet Salacia, and the Pleiades star cluster. All right, are you ready to dive into this Scorpio full moon galactic astrology reading with me? All right, let's go. So here we have the full moon chart. And as you can see, the moon there at 22 degrees of Scorpio conjunct asteroid Juno at 24 degrees of Scorpio, in opposition with the sun at 22 degrees of Taurus. And we also have Perseus-Capulus there at 22 degrees of Taurus. The ruler, I've also marked here, the ruler is Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius conjunct Aquila-Altair. And we've talked about Aquila-Altair in previous videos, but Aquila-Altair is at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So Perseus-Capulus is very interesting because the fixed star Capulus is located in the Perseus constellation, but also Capulus itself is at the raised hand of Perseus there. You can see he's holding the sword, but basically it's at the wrist of Perseus there. And if you recall, the myth of Perseus and Medusa is that Perseus chopped the head of Medusa. And Perseus Algol, the fixed star Algol, is located in the head of Medusa at the third eye. And we're going to talk more about Algol later on in this video. But Capulus represents a very determined energy, and it's also associated with rich inner environment, surprisingly. But the raised hand here associates with the energy of taking action, taking a risk, moving out of a something comfortable. And this chopping head of Medusa is an archetypal energy of choosing another path. And the symbolic action of chopping the head of Medusa can be interpreted as releasing the mental limitations that we are putting on ourselves by using our logic and problem solving and mental domain. You can also see Pegasus here in the image and the Pegasus constellation. Pegasus is said to have been born out of this act of chopping the head of Medusa. And the Pegasus constellation is associated with liberation, freedom. So there's a strong link here between Saturn being conjunct Pegasus sheath now in the very late degrees of Pisces and Perseus constellation here in Taurus. And this full moon is that line in the sand of a upgrade, a DNA upgrade that we're invited to partake in. So this full moon in Scorpio is a powerful one. It's a deep one, like all full moons in Scorpio. And in the third decan here, 22 degrees, it's also a master number. It's showing us that we have a choice point. Are we moving into holding a higher frequency, or are we continuing to learn from the duality type of energy at a lower frequency? And this may be something that we know at the soul level, what we're ready for next. And it may not be something that is visible in the physical realm, because this third decan activity is very much at the soul level. The last 10 degrees of respective sign is associated with the spiritual realm. So here at this time, at the Scorpio full moon, it may not be physically evident that leap, that upgrade that we're taking part in, but our soul knows. And if you really listen deeply to that soul innocence, that soul essence within yourself, you will know what's up next for you. All right, let's take a look at the first energetic theme, a risky commitment, next. So here we have the first energetic theme that I've called a risky commitment. And here, as you can see, the full moon again. And notice Juno there, conjunct the full moon at 24 degrees of Scorpio. This is where that commitment comes in at this full moon, and in trine with Perseus Markab at 23 degrees of Pisces there. This is the invitation to make that leap, to make that commitment at this time, supported by Pegasus Markab here and flowing energy through that trine to the full moon. Juno is representing the choice that we have to see our inner beauty. In this context, in opposition here with Perseus-Capulus, it is about making a choice to trust your heart, trust your inner conversation, your inner voice, your soul voice. Juno is here to help us make that risky commitment that may feel uncomfortable. The full moon is also in conjunction with the Centaurus constellation here and BetaCentauri Hadar at 24 degrees of Scorpio. So it's really Juno that is in exact conjunction with BetaCentauri Hadar at this time. And if you recall, BetaCentauri Hadar in Scorpio here is associated with that utopia of unconditional love that is associated with the heart-centered way of living. So next, let's focus on the sun for a moment here in Taurus, because the sun is going to travel to conjunct Uranus here at 26. Actually, the conjunction is happening at 27 degrees of Taurus on May 18th. So just a few days after this full moon. And Uranus is conjunct Hygeia, asteroid Hygeia, and also Perseus Alol. Remember that Algol is the third eye of Medusa's head. And this is really what this full moon in Scorpio is about. That conjunction of the sun and Uranus conjunct Pegasus Algol is that ignition of that DNA upgrade in many ways. And there's more to this in theme 3. We'll talk more about it. But this is also a prelude to Uranus ingress to Gemini later on in July. So this powerful journey that the sun is on is going to be so powerful. And the May 18th time frame is very important for those downloads of energy that we are invited to embrace now. And we're going to talk more about the role of Hygeia in this full moon chart in a minute. And next, if you notice the moon here, by May 18th, the moon will have traveled in the sign of Sagittarius and Capricorn and reaching the 10-degree Aquarius mark. And by May 18th, the moon will be conjunct asteroid DNA at 10 degrees of Aquarius. And we're going to talk much more about this in energetic theme 3 coming up. So here I wanted to show you asteroid Hygeia, and Hygeia plays an important role here, especially in conjunction with Perseus Alol. So Hygeia is really that cleansing and purification in conjunction then with Uranus and Perseus Alol. It really is guiding us to cleanse our thoughts. Our intuitive knowing can be refined. And once the sun comes in here in conjunction with Uranus and Perseus Alol, this is really the suggestion to allow our intuitive abilities to come in the forefront, allowing us to let go of mental construct that we may have held on to from past experiences. So Hygeia is that cleanser that sits now in conjunction with Uranus, and the pair here of Hygeia and Uranus conjunct Perseus Alol. We are preparing ourselves to hold higher frequencies, and Hygeia helps us to guide our physical, our body experience around what it takes to come into balance. So the question here that Hygeia conjunct Uranus and Perseus Alol, the question that she may ask us is that, where do we feel an imbalance? And it could be in the body, but could also be in our sense that something is off. This is the time at this Scorpio full moon to address that and to become more aware of any imbalance here. Because come May 18th, there is a highlight because of the sun's conjunction here of the body wisdom that we can access through our soul essence in conjunction with our heart energy and body's wisdom coming to life. And this may be an intuitive sense. Our senses are expanded into intuitive knowing. And here we have Perseus Alol at 26 degrees of Taurus now is going to be in highlight. And Algol, again, is the third eye of Medusa's head there. So this full moon is really highlighting this process of detaching from our logical mental constructs to let them go so that we can hold energy as part of this next upgrade. So ultimately, this energetic theme speaks of making a risky commitment to yourself to step out of the comfort zone and making a new expanded commitment to yourself to nurture yourself in a different way, perhaps, or expanding your existing practices on how you refine your living and being, because Hygeia here is very much a guide at this time, what it takes. That prerequisite to welcome in the new future is to be letting go of the past. So this full moon in Scorpio is asking us to go deep with this and truly stay honest with ourselves, what we need to let go of, what we need to allow to transmute, and what we are done with, but that can be left behind. And I don't know if you noticed, but the full moon and Juno here is in a quincunx, that green little dotted line in the chart, to the Jupiter conjunction to the Orion constellation, in particular the Orion Nebula now at 24 degrees of Gemini. This is work in progress. So we may feel both in our body and in our environment that there's a lot going on, churning energy, but it's also for the good, because we are going through a process to prepare ourselves to welcome in the future next. And that future is inviting us to hold a much higher frequency. All right, so are you ready for the second energetic theme? Active purification of Atlantis soul memories next. Here we have the second energetic theme that I've called active purification of Atlantis soul memories. And that's exactly what it is at this Scorpio full moon. And what I'm going to walk you through next is major energy that may be associated with our association with ancient civilizations and Atlantis in particular, which is very much a theme of this time, where the transmutation of energy is very active. So let me walk you through what I see here. We start with Uranus conjunct Hygeia and Perseus Alol here in quincunx with asteroid Atlantis at 26 degrees of Libra, conjunct the fixed star Arcturus at 24 degrees of Libra. And also another quincunx, and this all forms a yod with the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So this is a directional energy to help us focus on that Hygeia, Uranus, Perseus, Alol conjunction. So we also have the full moon engaged in a yod here. This is a very powerful pattern. And as you recall, that quincunx between the full moon and Juno and the Orion Nebula and Jupiter's work here at 23 degrees of Gemini, and conjunct also the asteroid Deianira at 24 degrees of Gemini. This is a work in progress, as I mentioned earlier. And on the other side, the other quincunx that is very important is Chiron's conjunction to Eris there, 24 degrees, 44 minutes. That's some numerology there, conjunct Eris. This also forms a important guidance of what's going on here at this full moon. Chiron is in opposition to Booth's Arcturus as well at 24 degrees of Aries there. So if we combine these two yods and the placements involved here, we get this. A mystic rectangle that combines these two yods into a pattern that is a supportive pattern for the transmutation of energy that we are in the midst of now, with the full moon in the middle here of this formation. But it links Jupiter's work in Gemini and currently working with the Orion Nebula, and Eris conjunct Chiron there is a powerful call to step out of the comfort zone, basically, and look at our Chiron energy here in opposition to Booth's Arcturus and asteroid Atlantis. This is a very freeing. It's almost like we need to elbow ourselves out of this energy to become free. The galactic center, also part of this mystic rectangle, is bringing in the solutions and bringing in those scenarios that we may not have thought of before is possible for us. Galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius is very focused on our solar system, our Milky Way galaxy here. So this is specific work here that we do in our universe, in our galaxy here, that has great impact on the rest of the universe. And this full moon in Scorpio is a hallmark for this energy at this time. Eris conjunct Chiron is asking us to go outside what the norm is. Eris's orbit is very much elliptical and goes out of the comfort zone of a circular type of orbit. So Eris is that energy that wants to honor our uniqueness. And Chiron there is also helping us to unearth the wound that sits behind why we're not showing our unique essence. So this is also in sextile to the work that Jupiter does with the Orion soul memories here. So we are supported by becoming more aware of our patterns, of our dynamic that may hold us back, that is not working to our favor. At this full moon, we're invited to utilize that ability we have to detach from our mental constructs and our logic and the scenario planning and base it in our heart, in Beta-Centauri Hadar type of energy of unconditional love. So here I want to show Juno, just for you to tune into an image of Juno here. Juno wants us to make a commitment to ourselves to show our uniqueness. And Beta-Centauri Hadar in the Centaurus constellation here is very much associated with that unconditional love it takes to give ourselves, to show our uniqueness, to have the courage to step out and be just the way we are and honor ourselves in that way. I also wanted to show you the Orion Nebula here at 23, almost 24 degrees of Gemini, which is now in focus of Jupiter's work. And Jupiter's conjunction with asteroid Deianira is part of recognizing where we feel like a victim. Deianira is very much associated with that victimhood energy. And also asteroid Atlantis at 26 degrees of Libra, now conjunct Booth's actress, fixed star. That is the invitation to heal those emotional soul memories that may not have been as pleasant to go through as a soul. Booth's actress, associated with emotional healing mastery, is inviting us to really sit with this, invite that fear. So the higher purpose of this Scorpio full moon is to invite a new relationship to fear and polarity. And this is a grand opportunity to feel supported and held at this time by this mystic rectangle energy. And Chiron conjunct Aries here. And again, I just thought to show you the orbit of Aries there, as opposed to many of the other planets here, to show the uniqueness that Aries wants us to express and is encouraging us to do. Yes, we are in a continuous process right now to transmute and purify these Atlantis soul memories. It may feel like a wobble. Are we done with it or are we not? Are we ready to move into a higher frequency or not? So this time around the Scorpio full moon may feel like you're asking yourself a lot of questions and receive very little answers, but stay put, stay patient, stay present with that fear that may come up, because it's meant to support you allowing to let go of the past as a soul. And this is a very powerful time that works with unconditional love, that works with our intuitive domains. It works with our soul's journey. And many of us have soul memories associated with dealing with duality and polarity and fear. So we are now allowing that to come up and transmute, because around the corner is that upgrade, that DNA upgrade. But we have to pay attention to our body. We have to pay attention to how we are allowing that self-love, self-nurturing to come through. And that's what Juno wants us to commit to. All right. Are you ready for the massive DNA upgrade, energetic theme 3 coming up? All right, let's dive into it. So here we have the third theme that I've called a massive DNA upgrade. And we are going to talk about Mercury. We are going to talk about Mars's journey. But first, we'll start with the ruler of this full moon in Scorpio, which is Pluto, now at 3 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Aquila-Altair at 2 degrees of Aquarius. And as you can see here, Pluto is now in retrograde since May 4th and will be in retrograde all the way into October 13th. And here we are going to focus on this square first between Pluto, Aquila-Altair, and Mercury at 3 degrees of Taurus in opposition with the Shapley Attractor at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Shapley Attractor, we apply an orb, maybe 5, maybe even 7 degrees to, while fixed stars often are just 1 or 2 degrees. But the Shapley Attractor is so influential at the multiverse level. And here we have a T-square between Mercury, Shapley Attractor, and Pluto at this full moon, and which is going to go on for a little bit here into another couple of days after this full moon. And I wanted to also just remind you of Aquila-Altair. Aquila-Altair is associated with messaging. And as you can see here, the hawk here bringing messages is very descriptive of Aquila-Altair energy. This is also a overarching energy that Pluto is very much linked into for quite a while here. Pluto conjunct Aquila-Altair is that future framework of messages that we are now receiving intuitively. Aquila-Altair is associated with that dynamic between our ego and spirit and the messaging that we are managing between our ego and our spiritual self on a daily basis. Pluto in conjunction here is making a permanent transformation of this inner messaging system. And here we are also in the T-square with Mercury, and Shapley Attractor mixes in the multidimensional aspects of ourselves. So at this Scorpio full moon, significant messages about what is required in the future are coming through. Next, I'd like to talk about Mars, because Mars is also in the traditional astrology a co-ruler of Scorpio. So Mars is up to something really important here, being the driver of this DNA upgrade. Mars is conjunct asteroid Karma at 11 degrees of Leo in opposition with asteroid DNA at 10 degrees of Aquarius. And I pay a lot of attention to any placements or asteroids present in Aquarius. And the DNA asteroid is very much a marker for such things as DNA upgrades. And with Mars and asteroid Karma now in opposition to asteroid DNA, this is a massive DNA upgrade. And if you recall from the new moon in Taurus video, the video prior to this one, we talked about Salacia and her role here as a dwarf planet guiding us into a new earth energy. And Salacia is that unified masculine, feminine, Venus and Mars in union, that higher love energy. And the fact that Salacia is in trine with Mars and asteroid Karma here and in sextile with asteroid DNA at this Scorpio full moon is a significant support and a marker for new earth energy that is supporting this DNA upgrade. 11 is also some numerology there, so that might also help us guide on the significance of this placement. Let's now focus on Mercury, because Mercury has a significant role here at this Scorpio full moon. If we go back to the new moon in Taurus that we had on April 27th, Mercury was conjunct Salacia at 11 degrees of Aries there. And now Mercury is at 3 degrees of Taurus. Mercury will travel to 11 degrees of Taurus by May 16th. That will also activate this T-square that we have between Mars, Karma, and asteroid DNA. At 11 degrees of Taurus, Mercury will be in opposition with the fixed star Krux. Krux is at 12 degrees of Scorpio and is a significant navigator for us into the higher vibrating future. So what we will have here A couple of days after this full moon is a grand cross involving a Krux, the fixed star a Krux in the Krux constellation, but also asteroids Karma and DNA, along with the co-ruler here, Mars and Mercury. And to top it off, the sun will be conjunct Uranus on May 17th. And we talked about the significance of that previously in this video. What this all means when Mercury locks in here with Mars, asteroid DNA, and Acrux is that DNA upgrade, messages that are going to come through as part of this upgrade. And we are going to dive deeper into this DNA upgrade in the members only video. Mercury is going to continue and first conjunct Uranus on May 24th. So that's going to be significant messages coming through. And shortly thereafter, on May 26th, conjunct the Pleiades star cluster at 0 degree of Gemini. So in the members only video, Pleiadian messages, we're going to dive into in further detail of that period of time when Mercury is going to travel here after the Scorpio full moon into later parts of May and also into the new moon energy. As part of this also, we have the big event of Saturn entering Aries on May 24th. So in the members only video, we'll talk about the impact of that as well and the role of the fixed stars associated with this shift. You will also receive extra members only questions regarding this DNA upgrade and Pleiadian messages as part of the members only video. So if you're curious, join us in the membership and receive that members only video, Pleiadian messages. Why this is important is that Mercury has a significant role in delivering essential messages to us from the period of time of May 16th to May 26th. And that is really a precursor to the Uranus entry to Gemini later on in July. So super interesting, and join us for that deep dive video of Pleiadian messages. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the constellation of Krux and the fixed star Acrux here. Because of the opposition to Mercury and Mercury's journey here in Taurus, the constellation of Krux is many times in ancient civilizations very much used for navigation. It's called the Southern Cross and has been used for thousands of years to determine way forward. Acrux is also associated with other life forms, particularly amphibian life forms associated with water, and also plasma beings. So it's highly interesting every time Acrux is involved in a grand cross like this, because there are influences associated with Acrux that are associated with the future, and particularly DNA upgrades. So I thought that was very interesting at this Scorpio full moon, where both rulers, both Pluto and Mars, were involved, and also asteroid Karma and asteroid DNA. So this is a massive DNA upgrade, and it's a process, and we're receiving messages primarily also through the Pleiadian star cluster come late May, which may be a precursor to the July ingress of Uranus to Gemini. So this is very exciting, and this energy is very much associated with the linkage to the work we're doing with the Orion constellation, of course, again, at this time, may be associated with unearthing inherited patterns and energy that is locked down or suppressed, so that we now can allow that to be transmuted. Part of this work is to get to know ourselves at the true essence, at the soul essence level. Part of this supportive energy at this Scorpio full moon is to help us come in more contact with our true essence. Our soul essence is our truest, most innocent part of ourselves, and it can often be hidden, if you will, if we have a lot of suppressed energy that is veiling that suppressed energy based in duality. It's an important time to heal ancestral wounds, and Aries conjunct Chiron here is a signature of going our own way and appreciate and see our unique soul as the true power it is. If you're curious about unearthing more about your own soul journey and your connection to the stars, I offer readings. So take a look at the Galactic and Earth Soul Journey Astrology reading. That is the full 2-hour reading that I offer that includes your full galactic chart, but also the most important energetic work that your soul is focused on and working on at this time. The limited time special reading focusing on your Orion galactic alignments. I also offer that all the way until June 9th. So that's also available. That's a reading that is only going to be available for a limited time. The members only video associated with the Scorpio full moon is the DNA upgrade extra deep dive of Pleiadian messages, and check out Energetic Theme 3 and you'll know more about that members only video. If you're curious about joining our membership here on the YouTube channel, go to the pinned comment or the description box to find out more information. It may be easier to join from a computer or laptop because on a phone, I've noticed that the introduction video is not showing. If you want to join the membership and get some more information about it first, the preferred way may be to join from a computer or a laptop. So I have a couple of questions. Should you want to integrate this Scorpio full moon energy some more? The first question is, what is it that needs to be cleansed or purified in your life? This could be anything, but it's a good question to ask yourself. What is it that needs to be refined or cleansed so that you can make a pure, clear commitment to what you desire next? This placement of Hygeia in the chart, conjunct Uranus and Perseus Alol, is a significant support for us to sit with these questions of what is it that is not in alignment with me anymore? Or it gives us, Hygeia gives us a opportunity to see what we need to put in place to increase our wellness. So what is that for you? The second question is, how aware are you of your patterns that are not serving you? Because this is still a very significant time where Jupiter is doing heavy lifting work with the Orion constellation, where this may be unearthing for all of us patterns that we may not have been aware of before, but we are now so aware of them that we are just, what can I do to step out of this loop of energy? Often scenario planning or something associated with this or that. That's duality, right? Instead, what is it that will support you moving forward no matter what? So this question about our patterns is something that we are consistently working on to be able to step out of the sometimes inherited systems or opinions or belief systems that we are maintaining. This is still in very much active transmutation. So continue to work with that and ask yourself, what are some of the patterns that I'm maintaining that are not serving me? And what can I do, or what can I do to raise my vibration in terms of a new opinion, a new approach, a new perspective on something? That is often what it takes to step out of the loop. So continue to work with that. I know many of you are already doing a lot of work to become aware of this, and Jupiter is here to support us. Jupiter is here to expand us. The Orion constellation stands for often the fear patterns that we are maintaining. So the association to the Orion constellation is that archetypal energy that we often work with as a soul to maintain those fear patterns. The third question is, how can you take in and deeply listen to within these messages that Mercury is bringing in for us regarding this DNA upgrade? And again, the focus in time is really May 16th to May 26th. So here is a window where we may receive a significant guidance from the Pleiades star cluster about this upgrade and a new level of energy that we are invited to hold, which is very much based in oneness. And as a precursor to Uranus ingress to Gemini here on July 7th, this may give us a little bit of a preview. And with this insight here, you may have a little heads up. And if you want to go deeper with these messages and get more details around this process and link it in also to Saturn's ingress to Aries later in May here, join our membership at the galaxy level, and the Pleiadian Messages members only video will be up there shortly. Are you curious about your own galactic alignments? Download my Galactic Alignments reference guide. There is a link in the pinned comment and the description box below. Together, we are learning, we're expanding our views of our multidimensional self. Thank you for listening and watching New Light Living Podcast. I'm Ulrika Sullivan. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach and a galactic astrologer. Visit me on ulrikasullivan.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to get back with another video for you. Bye.